The first tip, there's a giveaway, so if you want to join it, all you gotta do is subscribe and write a comment. That is it. That's all you gotta do, man. Come on, man. You gotta do it, man. Come on, man. I beg you, man. I beg you, man. If your enemy is holding an angle and is not willing to fight it out, make sure you're safe from the sides and drive away from the angle like so. You don't have to drive this far, but the further you drive, the more of your target you'll see. This way, you'll be able to see them and get easy money, while your enemy won't be able to see anything at all. Turn on auto jettison of empty weapons so that whenever you shoot out all of your rockets, that dead weight would drop out automatically. To turn it on, go to options, air battle settings, scroll down a little bit, and there it is. While you're still in the options, click on ground vehicle battle settings and turn off grass and tank sight, as you are in a major disadvantage if you're playing with that one. Always carry 1 to 3 high explosive shells to easily one-shot roof tanks as they get automatically overpressured. You don't even have to hit them clean. You can pretty much hit wherever you want, and they're instantly going to be killed. On higher tiers, instead of carrying high explosive shells, take heat, hash, or rockets instead, as they work just like high explosives, but have some additional penetration, or in heat case, a lot better ballistics. If you want to farm silver, then crash bombing is absolutely not for you, because for destruction of a vehicle, you might get a couple thousand silver, but your repair cost could be worth 10,000 or even over 10,000 silver. So you do that a couple of times and you lose like 50,000 to 100,000 silver. Use rangefinders on most objects. This way you will learn maps and their distances faster. It's extremely helpful, especially if you have a job, maybe life, and don't have enough time to learn distances of all 50 maps. Use X-ray to learn locations of your tank modules, weak spots, and it's pretty comfortable to see what modules have been damaged after the fight. You can easily take out enemies even if you can't see them directly by using binoculars. Use a rangefinder on your target and then increase your cannon range through sniper mode. Turn on binoculars again and hold shoot button to aim on your target. And when you're ready to shoot while holding your mouse button, switch to sniper mode, which will make your tank automatically shoot. If the distance is smaller, you can just aim a bit higher through binoculars and shoot without increasing the range on your cannon. In low and mid tiers, always angle your tanks even if they don't have armor, because you increase its effectiveness and it increases the impact angle. This way there's a higher chance for your enemy shells to ricochet off you. And with some tanks, you go from everyone can penetrate you to nobody can penetrate you. If you play on a high tier and you get to a slugfest, always try to dance off a shot. It won't always save you, but your chances are way higher. Always scout your enemies. This way you will get half the reward if he gets destroyed, and it helps your bombers to easily find targets. But the other thing you could do is use it to scout enemies behind walls, because you might hear them but not see them, and after you scout them, you will be able to see if they're trying to flank you, which then you can easily counter, or maybe they're just stalling. You basically get a lot of info through the walls. Against armored targets, try to use armor piercing explosive shells, as they deal way higher damage than armor piercing or heat shells. It should be your main shell if your tank has it in most cases. Heat, hash, high explosive, and rockets detonate on fences, trees, and bushes. So if you want to shoot someone through a fence, make sure you're using armor piercing shells or AP FSDS. If your tank has terrible vertical guidance and you have to shoot over a hill, instead of driving out into the open, just find a side hill and get on it. This way, you will be able to share your happy thoughts with enemies while being completely undercover. If you play once every couple days, you can turn this thing off so that it would stop auto-repairing your vehicles for silver and instead would repair it for free over time. Wait, even with aces it takes 5 days? Wow, nice! It's extremely effective if you play like once a year. That is just eye-opening, dude. Sometimes it's a good idea to throw out a couple of shells out, as for some tanks it drastically increases their survivability and it saves silver if your vehicle gets destroyed. However, some tanks have ammunition stored at the bottom which never gets hit, so taking more shells will not affect it negatively, and you will be able to snipe without a worry of shells depleting. If you can, always take the same battle rating tanks into your setup, as it will increase your advantage over other players even even further, as taking under-tiered vehicles will end up feeding your enemies and it will cost you a lot of silver in the end. If there's a stalemate and you have a friend nearby, do an engine bait. One of you has to turn the wrong way to show their engine to the enemy, and the other one has to get ready to trade. It's best if your enemy thinks that you are alone. Basically, one of you drives out backwards and exposes their engine. Enemy shoots at it and your friend peeks out and destroys the enemy. Helps you repair and you can move on. If you want to be effective at taking out planes, wait till they come closer. Don't try to snipe them because it will give away your position and experienced players will just counter you instantly. Just wait for them to get all brave and full of themselves and then unload all that hatred you've been holding in yourself. ERA explosive reactive armor is extremely effective against heat shells and rockets, so using those shells against tanks that have ERA protection is absolutely useless. Just load in a kinetic round and go through it, no problem. However, the newer versions of ERA also help against kinetic rounds, so in higher tiers you should keep that in mind as well. Active protection system is effective against shells and rockets that are slow enough to be detected. If your enemy has active protection system and all you have is rockets, then you have to close the distance, as the closer you are to the enemy, the less effective the active protection system gets, as it starts failing. For short, if it works against you, get closer. Composite screens are also very effective against chemical shells like heat and rockets, so if you can, load an armor piercing shell or land your rocket on a part that doesn't have additional screens. If you don't know where to shoot at the barrel and figure it out later. I mean, it's extremely annoying for your enemies, so do it as frequently as possible. Remember, your enemy won't thank you for being honorable, so do whatever you have to win. Some tanks are literally built for this thing. For example, Jumbo. It's just part of the gameplay for it. If you hit your enemy's engine and all you can see is the top of the turret, load a HESH shell or rocket and overpressure the poor boy out of the match, as normal armor piercing shells will most likely bounce off, but with these shells you can easily kill him from the safe. Take smoke rounds only for a tank that has fast reload speed so that you could help your teammates in time. Maybe you can smoke the capture point, which is completely in the open. It will help your teammates a lot. But the more fun thing is abusing smoke rounds at the start of the match to smoke enemy respawn point. It's a fantastic way to ruin your enemy's morale, as it is extremely annoying and frustrating to deal with. They will lose their timings and will become impatient. It's super fun, extremely chaotic, but be careful to not smoke your teammates, as it works both ways.
Everything's okay, don't worry.
If you don't have smoke rounds and you're next to an enemy that is successfully destroying your teammates, you can just annoy and absolutely make them useless by using engine smoke or throwing smoke nades. Usually they become impatient, so be prepared, as they will rush out through the smoke sooner or later. And if not, well, they're just sitting ducks. They're absolutely completely useless over there behind your smoke. Sometimes throwing smoke on yourself though is a bad idea. For example, if your engine got destroyed but your cannon is still functioning, instead of smoking yourself, do your best to locate your enemy and send one back, or just hold the angle where your enemy peaked. This way you'll survive and have more info instead of just dying. Don't be shy of using machine guns to detrack your enemies, even if you might not survive. It will waste your enemy's time and give your team info, which might be just enough for your plane to send a juicy gift their way and earn you an assist. Never trade your plane to enemies anti-air, as you will lose most of your respawn points and will be able to respawn with anti-air at most, while your enemy will be able to respawn with a solid tank. This way your chances in victory can drop drastically, especially in the end of the match. If your enemy is extremely patient with you, just smoke shoot them. From a third person, remember his position and throw smoke at his face. Then fake the side that you're taking, quickly switch and get a free kill. It works because smoke nades land a bit in front of you, so you can see your surroundings while he is completely submerged in your smoke. On snow maps, you can shoot through a layer of snow, which can give a massive advantage to you. To make night maps more bearable during the match, go to options options and increase gamma correction to the max. If you don't have a slider or the slider doesn't work, go to graphics and change mode to full screen and it should work just fine. If you can't spawn with a plane and you really want to, just change the weaponry to a lighter one. Take less bombs or change ammunition and it might be just enough to roll out, as even with machine guns you can find softer targets to take out. Highest priority skills to level up for tanks would be reload speed and leadership. For planes, it's G tolerance for the pilot, and for ships, it's main caliber reload speed and auxiliary caliber reload speed. Do your best to check the minimap as frequently as possible, as this way you will be able to see marked enemies or spot an open flank. Some tanks turn faster if you drive forward a bit and then start turning your tank, instead of just staying on spot and starting to turn. With tanks that have slow turret rotation, well, more like with all the tanks in the game, try to help your turret rotation by rotating your entire tank altogether. This will save your life, especially in 1v1s. If it's not your day and you can't hit any shots with the anti-air, try spot shooting. Basically, you overshoot and undershoot on purpose. This way you will surely get a hit somewhere. Just make small stops basically. You shoot, you make a small stop. You shoot, you make a small stop. And if you can't hit helicopters, just rip through a burst vertically and for sure something is going to hit. It's extremely effective if you're using proxy rounds that explode next to the plane. If you got a terrible task, don't be shy, skip it and save yourself a lot of time. If you have a stabilizer, especially in low tier, use it to its maximum advantage by constantly moving and taking short stops to send some treats back to the enemy. It will increase your survivability greatly. On high tiers, don't use rangefinder directly on the enemy, as they could have laser warning systems installed and will get a notification about it. If you've met some experienced passive-aggressive guy and it became a stalemate, throw smoke and at the same time turn on engine smoke. This way your enemy will hear a pop sound of smoke grenades and will rush in without thermals. But you know better, and by retreating into your engine smoke, go to sniper mode, turn on thermals to see through the smoke and get an easy kill. You can fake an injury with your tank. When your enemy is holding a close angle and you get shot by an enemy plane, start falling back and throw smoke nades. This way your enemy will think that you are hurt and will rush forwards to finish you off. Your friend could also do it to you. Just accidentally miss all his shots, especially if he has no bombs left and some weak ammunition. Then he can shoot with machine guns directly at you, making that metal sound so that your enemy would buy it more. If you have a buddy that your enemy doesn't know about, you can do a fake shot bait. While your buddy is holding an angle on you, turn the other way and shoot at nothing, like it was a mistake, and your enemy will go bloodthirsty, rush at you, guns blazing, but little does he know you have a friend to counter for an easy frag. Problem is, you gotta have a friend. So yeah, that's kind of not really possible, I guess, for most of us. Always use pointers to show exact location of an enemy, as both you and your teammate will get a massive advantage. You can set it by going to controls, common, just type set into search and you'll find it. If you have a premium account, you can ban one map. But the thing is, if you have friends that have premiums as well, you can all ban different maps. So basically with 4 friends, you can ban 4 different maps.
Please, I beg you gotta join the giveaway, man. Please, man. I beg you, you gotta join the giveaway, man.